Good morning, my loves. So this morning, I woke up not my shiniest, brightest self. And there's a part of me that goes straight into judgment when I wake up and I am tired and feeling heavy and depleted. And the depletion sends me right into not enoughness because, when I wake up and my batteries are below empty, then it's this, I'm not enough. I'm not going to be able to show up well for anyone today. And it's bringing awareness to that and being hi, you've not been sleeping great. You've been under the weather. Your children have been under the weather. Your sister died on Friday, briefly, and is still in the hospital. You have spent 2 days hanging out in the hospital, and also, you are a daily grief witness, up close and cozy to this problem of poverty in our community, where, 40% of my neighbors cannot afford to put food on their table, and I am over here as one person trying to keep up with that, and then beating myself up to some degree about the fact that I cannot keep up, because if I just could really lean into abundance and really ask for divine assistance, then those donations should just flow through, because I'm just the vessel. And so in my morning pages yesterday, I asked Source, what is up? I'm supposed to ask for help and get help. And so I'm asking for your help with this pantry, and where is the abundance? And the message I got back, which this is not, this is me writing. So you write and you ask the question, and then you write the answer, because it just comes through if you could get your thinking mind out of it, was it's not about the food, you are not here to feed people. You are here to be the mirror. You're here to be the bridge. And the point of all of this scarcity is to communicate the scarcity to your community so people can do something about it, and not just fill the pantry, but go upstream, get them engaged, get them involved in doing something about this, in showing up for change, to ease the suffering of the almost half of your community that is suffering, And that feels true, that makes sense. That is what I've been called to do over and over within the past year, is to show up and to communicate this message. I don't think it's an accident that I have transitioned into organizing work, and that has required that I go to town meetings and share the data, share the truth, share the mirror of what is going on in our community to our town leaders, to our residents, and really shine a light on what's been going on that no one wants to talk about. And that is deeply uncomfortable. And it can feel really unsafe because, if we think in terms of maybe jobs, maybe in school, maybe as children, every time we have listened to that little voice that says, this isn't right, and we have said, this doesn't feel right to me, what happens, when you're working in a job where there are staffing issues that are affecting your ability to do your job, when there are a larger culture of for-profit mentality, and you're working in healthcare, and you're hey, this doesn't feel right. Hey, these priorities seem off to me. Hey, I don't have what I need to do my job well, And you're the person who says that. What happens? Oh, now the staffing's not the problem. I'm the problem, I'm the person who's creating a toxic work environment, because I am the complainer. I mean, am I the complainer? Am I saying, oh, poor me? No, I'm saying I am concerned. I have a concern. Excuse me, I have a concern because I cannot do my job safely in these conditions. And instead it's, oh no, you're the problem. You're the person who is rocking the boat. Keep your head down. Keep your head down. Be the cog in the wheel. Don't have needs. Don't advocate. That's not acceptable here, right? Over and over. Over and over and over, right? And that was my story with the church that I grew up in, right? I grew up strictly Catholic, and I was told that I was a problem there. And so over and over, I have shared truth, and I've been treated as a problem, right? And the thing that I'm pointing to as the problem is not the problem. I'm the problem. And so, like, here I am in this situation where what is required of me, what my soul has signed up for, is to point to the problem and say, hey guys, we have a problem. And right? And so understandably, there's a little resistance to that. And that's the work that I am working on right now, right? Feeling safe in those situations, showing up in a loving way to say, Houston, we have a problem. And that was what was required of me again this morning, because I am out of food to put on shelves of the pantry. And the pattern that I have gotten into when things get really low like that is supplementing, right? Like when we order groceries, ordering extra stuff. And in reality, like I'm ordering more groceries for the pantry than I'm ordering for us. And that was fine when I was working a corporate job I hated and making tons of money and could afford to, right? It was like my way of making myself feel better. Like I'm working this job I don't like and I'm making lots of money, but making lots of money affords for me to help my community. And so it's like donating a portion of my salary. And then I transitioned into this nonprofit world where I make more per hour, but I'm working a lot less hours because my family has needed me and I have scaled back. And so it's expending, right, more than I am making to show up for my community. And I am happy to do that because I believe in abundance, and I believe that everything that I give freely comes back to me tenfold. That is the pattern I've seen, right? And it doesn't always make sense in the moment, but it happens. And it's the little trust bridge, right? Just trusting that it's going to be fine. And I do. And then there's that like teeny tiny bit of resistance that I am going to, right, like screw something up or create, I don't even know, create a disaster, right? That I'm not enough for the pantry. I'm not enough for my family. I'm not enough for anything. And like the whole point, and this is my recurrent work in this life, is I'm not supposed to be enough, right? Like I'm not supposed to try to do it all myself. None of us are, right? It's not my job to do it all myself. It's my job to ask for help, right? I'm a community organizer. What do community organizers do? They recruit people, right? You go around and you make friends and you find your mutual self-interest and you work on those things together, right? It's about empowering people. It's about connecting people to what they want to do and see changed and helping them do it. And so I suppose my message today is, like, number one, when you see somebody who is pouring a lot of good into the world, right, and supposedly inspiring people, and now I'm being flippant because I have been told that I'm inspiring, and I feel like there's some disconnect there in terms of that I am very human. And when people say I'm inspiring, I get a little nervous that they're putting me on a pedestal. And there is only one place to go from a pedestal, which is crashing down. And so to be inspiring from a standpoint of what's possible for one person to do, in their humanity. Yay to that. But I don't ever want people to put me on a pedestal and put me aside and think there's something special about me, because I am very human, and I have work like everyone else. And I think today especially I'm being very clear about that, and what my work is, because I own it. And I didn't come here to be perfect, right? I came here to get my lessons like everybody else. And I'm very dedicated to doing my work, because it has always been worth the effort, right? And my life gets more and more beautiful and expansive, and right, like just connecting with the possibilities of what could be. I get connected with more and more amazing people. And so like that's number one, is right, like even people who are out there doing the things and actively working to change their communities and change the world, they have not arrived. Right? I think before I did the pantry, I had thought if I found my thing, if I found my purpose, that then I'd feel good. And I'd be like, yay, I have made it. I have arrived. And then I thought when I did my first round of inner work, when I had done level 1 of inner alignment, that I would have arrived. And guess what? No. And then I did level 2, and now I'm in level 3, right? And I have not arrived. There is no arriving. There's growth, and things are beautiful on the other side of growth, and there's still work. There's never not work. So that's the first thing. And that's not to discourage anybody from doing the work, because it's absolutely worth it. Like you can't imagine how much more beautiful and free your life can be, right? Like even with the heartbreak, even with the hard stuff. Because you are worth that. You are worth the work, and you deserve that beautiful, expansive experience of being deeply connected, of having the experience of feeling loved and held, of not knowing, like through your head, processing that in your head, of like really in your heart, feeling connected and held. Yeah. And I can't remember what the other thing was now, because I have carried off into Vata land. And I'm not anchored. It'll come to me. Oh, yeah. We're not meant to do any of this ourselves, my friends. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask for help and not be enough, right? Because we are a community-oriented species. Like, we were never doing this alone. This is all like some garbage we were fed, this hyper-individualism. Because if you keep people divided and siloed, then they do not share notes and they do not challenge abuses of power. And so, right, if you think back to how we evolved, we were communities. We were communities of like 8 adults to 1 or 2 kids, right? So parents, take note of that, right? When they say it takes a village, it used to be a village to raise 1 baby. And now we're like 1 or 2 parents trying to raise multiple children and work and keep a household going. And we're like wondering why we're not enough. Because it's not supposed to work that way, my friends. So yeah, just a reminder that it's okay to need help, because this idea that you are supposed to have it all figured out and do it all yourself, and that when you're an adult, you suddenly have all the answers, right? Like, what kind of bogus nonsense is that? We're all still learning. It doesn't matter where you're at on the path, right? If you are not enlightened, you have learning and work to do, or unlearning, right? Which is its own kind of learning. And so I hope that feels true to you. And I hope that you can accept wherever you're at is enough, that divine timing is always perfect, and you are perfect divine essence. right? And I hate that word perfect. We use it very sparingly in this house. In fact, if you use the word perfect in this house, somebody in this house will correct you and say, perfect doesn't exist. We do good enough here. Because that word can be dangerous. And so I'm using it very intentionally here, right? You are a perfect divine essence. There is nothing that needs to be changed or improved, right? It's just connecting to that and remembering. And remembering is not something we do one time. Remembering is something we do all day long. Because we forget, because we're human and we're living this human experience. And we get swept away in the feelings and the experiences, and then we could always come back. We could come back to ourselves. We could come back to divine. It's like slipping under the water. I don't know how many swimmers there are, but like when you're under the water and everything is muffled, and you can just focus on your strokes, and tune everything else out. Like that is what it feels like for me. Like coming back in to connect with myself. Like I'm going under the water. I'm gonna not deal with the waves. I'm not gonna deal with all the noise. I'm just gonna connect to myself, take a breather, and then come back up. So yeah, reminder, you can ask for help. Doesn't mean you're not enough. You're allowed to take breaks. You're allowed to grow and to not have it figured out and to have work to do. And it's all going to be fine, and it's all going to be beautiful, and it's all going to be worth it. And you have a whole community behind you. You have your divine army at the ready. You just need to ask for help. I will be here holding space for you. And yeah, I hope you have an amazing day. And if it's not amazing, I hope you know that the not amazing won't last. All right? I love you.